Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, digital money, blockchain, cybercash, Bitcoin mining, Bitcoin farming. I know, everything about it seems so complicated, but you're very lucky to have clicked on this video because today I will be explaining exactly what Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are and exactly how they work in the simplest and easiest and understandablest way possible. I know there are a lot of videos here on YouTube trying to explain what it is and how it works, but let's be honest, most of these videos are just full with technical terms and advanced language, and for normal people like me and you, we're just completely lost while watching these videos. So this here will be a literally painless breakdown about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Real quick before we get started though, I will humbly ask you to help this modest channel to grow by liking the video, subscribing to it, and also turning on the notification bell for you to always be up to date with all the great money stuff that we post here on our channel every week. I will very much appreciate if y'all could do that, and without any further ado, let's get right into the video here. Alright, so to understand how it works, we need first to know what it is. So what's even Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, and what makes it different from real money? Well, as the very name of it already suggests, cryptocurrency is nothing but a digital asset. It's money as we know it, but in a computerized form. And just like real money, today you can also use Bitcoin, this digital asset, to pay for almost whatever goods and services you want. Of course, the range of places where you can use cryptocurrency as a way of payment is still limited. But if you go back not too far, 12 years ago only, and say you entered Whole Foods Market and told them you wanted to pay with digital money, they would laugh at you right there. And now, today they are accepting Bitcoin. So each day more and more companies are beginning to accept Bitcoin as a form of payment. Like I said, Whole Foods, also Home Depot now, Starbucks as well. So yeah, and many other companies actually. So now how does it work? How is using your credit card digitally at Whole Foods, for example, different from using Bitcoin, a digital currency? Well, here's where the main difference lies in. Factor number one, as we already talked about, even though you're using your credit card digitally, it will still operate the transaction utilizing regular money, which is, as we all know, controlled or supervised not by you, not by Whole Foods, but by a third party. And that is your bank and your credit card company and even your government, depending on where you're from. Now, when you make the payment with Bitcoin, a non-conventional currency with no physical branches and most importantly, with no specific authority regulating it, this transaction will be solely processed, checked and validated by the very Bitcoin's own network system, which consists basically in a very large number of random computers running special softwares to process all these Bitcoin's transactions that are being made. So in simple words, when you pay anything with your credit card using traditional money, your bank, your credit card company, the government will always know everything about this transaction since they are the ones running this whole mechanism for you to use. And obviously, that will give them the right to access every single thing that you do with your money. On the other side, when you do it with Bitcoin, the network of the currency itself is the only party knowing what's being done, since the validation and confirmation of the transaction is uniquely done by it, a decentralized system, which again consists of a very large amount of different computers running the Bitcoin's own system. So here's the perfect analogy. It's like if the dollar currency itself was disattached from the banks and the government and had its own system where it's ran by a massive number of random computers that validates the veracity of all the transactions occurring inside its network. And that is exactly the main purpose of digital currencies. That's why Bitcoin was created, to remove the third parties from your money activities, but still be used as a traditional currency for your day-to-day money usage. And of course, the main goal behind all of this is to have a more trustworthy and reliable way of using your money. Now you may be asking, who's running all these computers that are processing all these transactions, and how are these transactions being recorded and who will have access to them? Before we answer those questions, I would like to have you sharing your opinion with us in the comments below. Do you think cryptocurrencies will take over the financial world at some point and be the future's only currency? Or you're more like, nah, this whole Bitcoin hype is just momentarily and it will soon be gone? What's your view on that? Share your opinion with us down in the comments. So who actually are all these computers processing all these transactions? Well, they are the Bitcoin miners, and I'm sure you have heard of them before. And who are they? Well, they are nothing but regular people like me and you who just decided to join the network and perform this type of task using the mining software. So yeah, even me and you could start mining if you wanted to. And as you may already know, miners make money by getting a very small Bitcoin percentage from the transactions that they process, but mainly they are also rewarded with brand new generated Bitcoins for every block of transactions that they are able to validate and add into the blockchain or the ledger or the record book where everything is recorded in. Let's do an example here for you to easily understand what I'm talking about. Let's say there's a guy called Matt and he wants to send his friend Julia 10 Bitcoins. So the request for this transaction will be received by all the computers, the miners, and then they will go ahead and put Matt's transaction into what's called a block with thousands of other transactions. And here is where the mining race starts. So for this block right here, with all the transactions in it, including Matt's, for this block to be able to finally go into the blockchain and be forever registered in there, this block will need to be first decodified. Remember when I said here's where the race starts? Well, now all computers inside the network, the miners, will start running this block, meaning they're all trying to decodify it, or more precisely, trying to solve a very difficult, a complex cryptographic puzzle that has been set specifically for this block, to then be able to add this block into the blockchain. Again, the record book, the place where all transactions are stored in. And like I said, whichever miner is able to solve this difficult puzzle for this block will then be rewarded with brand new generated Bitcoin, specifically 6.25 Bitcoin at the moment for every block resolved and added into the blockchain. It used to be much higher than this. It started with 50 Bitcoins per block. Then 25, 12.5, and now 6.25. As you can see, it's set to decrease by 50% in roughly every 4 years. And the average time for resolving each one of these math problems for these blocks is about 10 minutes. But don't get tricked here. Within these 10 minutes, billions of attempts are being made by these gigantic computers. And these days, as you know, they have what's called Bitcoin farming, which are these huge sites with massive and very powerful computers, just and only for this purpose, Bitcoin mining. And obviously, the more powerful your machinery is, the faster you're likely to solve the block puzzles. Alright, so then after the block puzzle is solved and added to the blockchain by a miner, all other miners will together then check and validate the data for all the transactions inside this block. So in our example here, check if the amount sent by Matt corresponds to what he possesses or not. And then after validation, they will all again start working on a new block of transactions with a now new cryptographic version of the blockchain. Here's what I mean by that. Each one of these blocks carries a specific code, and they also contain a shared code from the previous and next block. And as you may be thinking, this makes the system different and more secure every time a new block is added into the blockchain. So for a hacker to alter just one transaction inside the blockchain, he would then obviously also have to change all the data inside all blocks that come ahead the very one that he's attempting to breach into, since the continuous set of information inside the blockchain no longer matches because of his alteration. So again, by the fact that all the blocks inside the blockchain have not only their own crypto data value, but also the previous and following ones within themselves, and also because of the number of different and random computers validating these transactions being so big and so randomly spread out across the world, it is technically impossible to have an error occurring or a fraudulent payment going through. So yeah, even if someone tries to cheat here inside this network in any way, they would very easily get caught due to the large and constant amount of exactitude work being performed. So here's a final analogy to summarize this whole process. Say now Matt and Julia are playing cards online with each other on a website where many other people actually also play this game. In this game, every time a person loses a round, he or she will have to pay a certain amount to the other person. In our scenario here, they do not use any traditional money, but they do use a digital currency called BITCON as a form of payment for the rounds they lose. So let's say Matt lost the first round. In order for him to pay and send the game coins to Julia, he will make a request for his transaction, which will be received by the biggest players inside the website and put into a virtual container with many other thousands of transactions for many different players. And as you may be imagining, this container has a random combination lock protecting it, generated by the website itself. Then all these big players will start their race to figure out what the locked combination is in order to verify the veracity of these transactions inside the container and also, of course, be rewarded for it. So after it's done, whichever one of these big smart players ended up finding the locked combination first will get his respective game coins reward. And then they all get together to process, check, double check and validate these transactions, including Matt's one. How many game coin he's got, how many of it he's using to pay, how many he's going to be left with, and everything else. So, and obviously once it's all processed and verified, this container with all the transactions in it will then be added into an extensive and secure main container chain system. And after that, it starts all over again for the miners, for the big players. These big players will right away start working on a new container with other thousands of different transactions in it. So again, even if Matt tried to cheat in any way to get any sort of advantage, the number of different computers verifying his transaction along with the numerical data procedure being built on for every block added into the blockchain would make it practically impossible for him to do so. Now you might be saying, well, the blockchain is then the third party operating the system, just like banks and credit card companies. Well, even though the blockchain is in fact the central record of the network, unlike traditional banks and credit card companies, there is no authority or special group updating and keeping track of everybody's money. Like I previously said, this whole process is decentralized, meaning Bitcoin's network is controlled by just and only its own users. And these users are located randomly distributed all around the world. So who will have access to this distributed ledger, this book record, this blockchain? Easy, everyone. Anyone can go ahead and have access to the blockchain, but of course, instead of names, he uses code numbers for everything. And obviously, each individual inside the platform have their very own user number for private and public matters, meaning the public one would be used to receive funds, for example, and the private one to sign transactions to spend these funds, obviously. So yeah, that's basically how it all works. And here now, let's answer some other common questions about Bitcoin. But before we do that, I just wanted to recommend something here for you guys real quick. I know this may be a very complex subject for some of you guys, and it was for me too. I've been there, so I know the feeling, but I just wanted to take a very quick moment here on this video to recommend to all of you guys who are actually really interested about getting deep into the cryptocurrency world and get to know literally how everything in this business actually works. From A to Z, from beginner level to expert level, the cryptocurrency course for beginners that I have taken myself. Like I said, when I joined in, I knew very little about it, and now I'm finally able to understand how it all works. But the best part of it all, I now have enough knowledge to start investing and start making real good money from it. And let's be honest, deep down inside, we all already know that, like it or not, cryptocurrency is the future. Not gonna take any more of your time here. If you are interested in learning more about it, the link will be in the description below. So here now are some other very common asked questions about Bitcoin, answered in near the speed of light. How much is one Bitcoin worth in dollars? At the present day, $55,416.60. How do I buy Bitcoin? Step 1, get a Bitcoin wallet. Step 2, locate your Bitcoin address. Step 3, choose the amount of Bitcoin to buy. Is there a limited amount of Bitcoin? Yes, 22 million. But don't worry, the expected year for all Bitcoins to be mined is 2140. And no, the currency will not be killed once it's all out there to use. In fact, It's expected for it to be even more valued after it hits the limited amount. Is it worth it to invest in cryptocurrency? If you know how to invest, hell yeah! Is cryptocurrency the future? Also, hell yeah! Alright guys, this is it now. This was today's video about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and I really try to be as simple and as creative as I possibly could with this video. So if you liked it and learned anything new here today, I would like to kindly ask you again to help this humble channel to grow by liking the video, subscribing to it, and also turning on the notification bell, just for you to not miss any money related video every time I upload. So that's it, you know what to do now. Go ahead and put into practice everything you learned in this video today to start making that money for yourself. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Later!